Welcome back to MSI 2023. BLG are on match point. They've been out playing in every single game. It's Cloud9's last opportunity to fire back, and it's a long road ahead of them. They want to come out on top in this series.
And I have a really important question for Kobe.
Uh-oh.
Do you
My answer
doubt
is no.
them? Do you doubt them?
Oh, good. I had the right answer already then. Never, Betty. Never. It's perfect weather out for a reverse sweep. Let's get it. Honestly, though, I mean, holy moly. There are so many things to clean up here. It does look quite rough, though, because BLG, they're doing such a good job with spacing in these team fights. You'll see Elk squeezing out so much more damage. You know, even in the last chase where they're almost onto Bin, but not quite. And then it opens the door for so much return damage here. They're doing such a good job avoiding the Cloud9 threats, collapsing back on them. They also, of course, you know, splitting, getting those towers down, as well as the extra CS lead to build up for themselves. Let's get into the draft, though.
The Varus ban.
Yeah, a little bit surprising here, but giving it a little bit of respect. Of course, it is something that Berserker played a lot domestically, so not wanting to give him a strong just 80 for the bottom side. I guess anticipating a bit of a change in the script of pick ban thus far. BLG, are they going to grab the Zai? Instead, the Ahri has been banned in every single game. They're going to be happy to pick that one up.
Okay, pressure's being put on to M&S. Game 1, he didn't really have that much impact. Game 2, we felt his presence in the early game, but outside of that, he wasn't able to have really significant team fights, but that was more of a Cloud9 issue, I would say. But now, he will be put to the test as Ahri, considered, I think, the strongest mid laner on the current patch, just because of how well she synergizes with so many junglers in the meta.
Yeah, and you kind of have to ban one of those two, the Ahri or the Vi. So now they're kind of switching up a little bit. They banned the Vi instead. Shouldn't have done such a good job for BLG, getting all those engages, getting those picks and those turnarounds. But locking in the Aphelios for Berserker this time around. We're done with the Xayah. We're done with that counter engage. He really wants to be the big weapon.
They might just take Lulu here if they want to keep flexibility open. Nope, they're saying that they want to grab that Scion now. Okay, so the question is, will they save their jungle pick for the second rotation? Of course, see, the gamble of picking a top laner now is that BLG can lock in a counter. So all of those bans from before, the Gnar, the Gwen, they're open for BLG to just secure for themselves.
So in the case, see if BLG instead want to prioritize rounding out the rest of their bot lane. It will be mismatched as we head to the second round of picks. And Gwen continues to be the hover here. 80 carries matched in terms of scaling. Obviously play a bit differently, but functionally the same
scary,
composition.
Man. That is a scary pick for Bin. He's known for carries. The way in which BLG got here was through topside domination. And now he is being given a true carry of the top lane in the form of the Gwen, who is so good into the Scion matchup.
Yeah, makes it really scary later in the game when you have to get to those 5-on-5s. Even if Berserker does get fed, he's going to have to deal with an easy lane phase Gwen. And as soon as they lay through the Ahri, I was thinking M&S with his LeBlanc probably, they do lock it in. This is his favorite champion, iconic champ for him. See if it will be enough.
Now, if I'm C9, I would consider a Nautilus and a Blitzcrank ban to try and force BLG into the Thresh ban so that you can get yourself the Lulu. It's very solid in terms of giving you a very good 2v2 matchup, and it can also deny the potential Thresh. But they're actually choosing to limit the jungle pool. I guess they're confident in their 2v2 matchup, and maybe they just want to prioritize the Thresh for themselves, but if they do, remember there's the risk of the Blitz or the Nautilus answer from On.
Despite the mobility of LeBlanc, really respecting, I guess, the kill pressure Ahri can provide, especially when you have follow-up Viego CC, but this mid lane matchup, I'm just thrilled about because this is M&S's most played. He's really throwing down the gauntlet. He has been kind of the crux of so many of these compositions, and that's not going to change in Game 3. Going for such an intense skill matchup in the mid lane, that's the Lulu ban, though, so a bit of a flip on the script saying, hey, maybe you can have the Nautilus, you can have the more aggressive supports, instead limiting the defensive options.
Yeah, they kind of honestly want Sven to be on one of those playmakers so they can keep doing that test between Elk and Sven, where neither of them have been backing off and going for blood over and over, and Elk mechanics definitely on point, so he's ready for it. The Nautilus ban comes through, though, preemptively.
See, so the situation that BLG have is that, well, I guess the beauty here for Cloud9 is they can counter-pick support. So the onus is on BLG to actually make that pick. If they choose to go for the Thresh themselves, then C9 can go for a Blitzcrank. There's also the option of the Tahm Kench as a potential answer as well. So I guess the idea here is to now lock in your jungle. You know you have a lot of options. I completely forgot about the Rakan. That's now going to be removed away from Sven as well. So you imagine the jungle will be locked in, and you want something strong that could be paired up nicely with the LeBlanc. I wonder if Lee Sin will be the direction. And it seems like the Cloud9 is on the same line of thinking as they go for LeBlanc and Lee, a very old school, very traditional, strong mid-jungle duo.
Yeah, of course, you can connect the chains, you can get that snare. It's easy setup, easy follow-up. Definitely a bit more high execution than something like an Ari Vibe that we've seen be incredibly popular, but it'll be a lot about getting that lane ahead in the early game. BLG debating responses here. Might show us something new. Wukong Ari, a classic. The champion was hit, a little bit less popular at the tournament thus far, but the nerfs weren't massive.
Wukong would put a lot of extra pressure too on this Aphelios.
Wukong Gwen is terrifying mid to late game. Yeah, there it is.
All right, so slightly nerfed, but still picked up here for Shun, and now we get the support reveal. Is it the throwdown of the Thresh and then answer with Blitzcrank?
Ooh. Okay.
Throwing a bit of a curveball here. Their engage is very limited. Of course, this is just a hover, yet to be locked in.
And I'm just holding my breath, waiting to see what's going to come through here.
They're going to take the defensive option.
Debating, really taking their time. They are going to offer the Alistar, something we have not seen in a very long time.
So a number of buffs have come over for the Alistar over a number of different patches. BLG wanting to make sure that they have that frontline engaged. The laning, not the strongest in the bot side of the map, but I think something like a Tahm Kench could be very solid here for C9. It looks like instead they're going to prioritize that Thresh. I said I should stop talking about the hovers. There's a lot of options here for Cloud9 is what I should say. Yeah.
Even the Renata, as Ben has played before with him on the Aphelios, and in the end they go for the Lantern here.
Yeah. Obviously, in the lane phase as well, the Flay can mitigate a lot of it on one spring, but as we get later in the game, these Alistar flanks can be terrifying, especially when paired with the Wukong and the Gwen. A lot of dive threats on the side of BLG. Elk going to kind of be left on his own to just play as well as he can, because everyone else on the side of BLG is ready to dive into that backline to try and take Berserker out of the equation.
And the early stages of the game, not going to be too scary as far as the top lane matchup, but it's as the Gwen has this really free lane phase and starts to rack up the items and then come and join, that's where it's going to be really scary to deal with Gwen, with Bin later.
I think what's interesting is BLG once again have a lot of options to play through their side lanes. I think they've demonstrated in this series that their general overall macro is stronger than what C9 have been able to demonstrate, and as long as Bin can get ahead, they're always going to have this threat that's going to be difficult for C9 to manage. So early aggression from their mid jungle is super important. This LeBlanc Lee Sin needs to pay off for C9.
Betting so much on individual execution, betting so much on the back of their mid-jungle. Berserker can surely take them through the late game if he has time to scale up. But all eyes on mid-jungle. See how BLG want to respond to the powerhouse present on the side of C9. Again, it is do or die. BLG sitting pretty, sitting on match point. They can play a little loose, they can play a little sloppy, but every single moment from C9 in this game has to be flawless if they want to take us to a game 4.
Yep, backs against the walls here for Cloud9. No more mistakes are allowed. Every game from here on out, a must-win game.
Shun letting us know that this is fine. He is unconcerned, which makes sense when you're 2-0 up. Just a bit of a spot out here.
They did call the 3-0 really early, which kind of stings now.
You gotta respect people who can call their shots like that.
I also just like Bin as a personality. Like he's just such a great player to talk to. Ooh. So charismatic.
Shun emoting, both with the champion and with the actual emotes themselves. C9
he's earned that right.
He has.
2-0 up right now. Looks like BLG are going to try and cross map. Of course, they don't have full information on who is on the bot side. Blabber looking across the summoner spell choices. Looks like, sorry, the runes. Nothing too crazy from either side. The Electric coming out for Yagao, wanting to trade a little bit more aggressively in the mid lane matchup. LeBlanc Ari, a matchup that's very old now, over 10 years. And often the charm is crucial when it comes to playing in that matchup, whether or not you can land it onto the dashing forward LeBlanc. But LeBlanc then will try and leverage by standing inside the minions so that you can take advantage of not getting hit by that. So it can be a very skill-intensive matchup.
Yeah, and we expect junglers to go mid pretty early here too. They're going to do the lane swap even to have MNS actually go toe-to-toe with Bin versus this Gwen, so that he doesn't get as easy of the early lane phase like we were talking about, Tran. try
They've
and
done this
snowball.
before, right?
Yeah. I mean, even in the finals, it was Orianna that they sent to the top lane. And while it didn't really work out in game one, it set them up for more favorable lane advantages. And as we saw with Nautilus mid, Ahri does good damage, but the second you have some MR, a lot of these tanky champions are impossible to move out of the lane.
And I mentioned in game number 1 that MNS had been spamming Ken in top lane. Maybe not champion specific here, but he has had a bunch of games with top lane as well.
Fudge just roll swapped to mid.
Yeah, he literally was playing it in Pro 2. And they had a game earlier.
Ghosting early just to get some damage down. MNS trading back with the chains, but I'm doing a lot more with that Conqueror stacked early on.
Yeah, the question is MNS prepared to play against Bin? Because Fudge has had 2 games of it now. But the setup at top.
On finding the knock, immediately the Ignite taking down Berserker, force flash into safety, trying to heal, but the Ignite's still ticking. Gonna make it a little bit difficult on the bottom side.
Great trade, but in the top lane.
MNS now running. MNS, the chains have connected. They're trying to finish it off. Bin, snip, finds one. Blabber should just get the response, though. 1-for-1 on the top side.
Cloud9 with a good idea there, but MNS a little bit too close.
No.
And they
Shun.
On with Flash. This should be just about impossible to get away from. Sven can maybe punish if they get over-aggressive on the dive with the scales that he has. That's going to be the play backwards. Sven now flashing out, looking for the hook, who's tanking on. Able to flash out. BLG clean dive to find Sven.
So BLG walk away with 2 kills on both sides of the map, and already they're starting to build up a snowball. The fact that Bin in the 1 versus 2 is able to walk away a kill just goes to show his mechanical excellence. And Jun, he sees an opportunity, but he knows not to overextend it. He'll just take the crab and walk away.
Huge stuff so far for BLG. They get the 1-for-1 trade on top side, and when your jungler is revealed there, once Blabber shows on top for the chase into that alcove, they know they can pull off that bottom dive where they already blew double summoners off of the Aphelios. Here it is again. Here's the setup. MNS, of course, is trying to start it up. Bin does such a good job hovering in those minions. He makes MNS tank the full wave while Blabber is coming in. And the positioning there, so he's even able to chase him down, laughing at it afterwards, chasing him through to the alcove. No flash on MNS either.
Yeah, the fact that that initial W also didn't connect, you can see how low Bin was. Slightly more damage would have been enough, and all those minions hitting onto MNS doing so much work.
X-Flash, not going to go over the wall. Constant threat of this all-in, though, is shown on the bottom side. They have to be careful.
He's just hovering. He's making it so uncomfortable.
Wukong now going to follow up. Blabber here, the rest of the team to respond. Sven throws out the lantern. They want to keep this trade going. Yagao coming down, but he's got very little mana, maybe enough for 1 combo. Blabber trying to get away. The slow coming through. Blabber looking to sidestep. Shield's now coming in. Fudge on the backside as well. Shun going to get taken down before El can even get into the fight. This is big. Aphelios, great guns for the fight. Has already burned the snare. Wants to keep this fight going. On going to get taken out. Double for Berserker. Perfect fight on the bottom side. Blabber wants to keep it going. Looking for one more on. He's going to take it. Oh, and Elk. I don't think this is a fight you win. Dashing back to the tower. Blabber going to go back on the lantern. Tower shot. Will not get taken down.
Oh no, he's on a ward! Zap was just used though. No.
Holding on.
Elk is coming!
Sidestep.
Oh, he was not shopping. Blabber kept his wits and was able to sidestep. That means that C9, though, just picked themselves up 3 kills, Kobe.
That to me was such a big outplay, and that's one of the first big outplays that they actually had for Cloud9. They know that Yagao is coming down river first, and Blabber still makes the call. Let's fight this because we have the early damage advantage onto Shun, and they focus that Wukong.
I will also say that Sven got a lot of value out of his rune there as well. When he lands the hook, the slow applies onto multiple people.
Yeah.
Blabber knows that he can move towards his bot side of the map where he has numbers advantage initially, and then now they create this collapse with the Scion coming down from mid. It's too late for Elk to arrive before the damage is already done. On gets zoned away with all of his cooldowns still up. Shun drops first, then On drops the combo, but Blabber landing that Q onto a manaless Yagao means that the fight can continue, and Blabber, even in this 2 versus 1, knows that he can walk away with a kill.
And just stronger champions of the fight. C9 really knowing how powerful they are. The Jinx as well needs a few autos to stack up that attack speed. Not nearly as threatening in the exchange as the fellows who cycles through 3 abilities over the course of that fight. Well played by C9, but job's not done yet. Fudge in the mid lane hitting level 6. Yagao responding. See what they want to do with this pressure that he's able to establish again, because it's so hard for Yagao to force Fudge out of this lane.
Yeah, huge stuff there. With Sven hitting everything, getting the play, getting the hook as well. Glacial Augment defending his teammates. Cloud9 now, after establishing control of the river, are going to be able to pull out the dragon.
So the beauty of having Scion in a lot of these early fights is he is just so durable, and a lot of champions don't have the damage to really go toe-to-toe with him. So C9 feel very confident starting off this
Stun
objective.
steal.
Shun going over the wall, can dash in. Just going to W back out to safety. Cloud9 fans sweating a little bit on the back of that last game, but we'll get the Dragon.
The reason why I bring up the Sion, though, is while it gives C9 good control over the bot side of the map, when you look up top lane, things are starting to get a little more challenging for MNS. He is, of course, now hitting that level 6 mark, but in terms of the gold, he is very quickly falling behind, and Bin is taking control of the 1v1.
It's hard to play into a Gwen. It's hard to play into Bin's
I was
Gwen.
gonna
And
say,
LeBlanc,
it's hard to
speaking
play
of
into
champions who don't really have kill pressure, I think LeBlanc into Gwen at this stage of the game
No
is
flash on L.
a bit tricky. Going over the wall, on waiting, can just punt it back into the team. For now, they're holding onto his summoner spells. He's just going to look for the auto attacks done on, keeping all of his skills up just to stop C9 from trying to re-engage.
On sneaky alcove play there. Alistar over the back is going to be able to pick it up.
Made it look like Elk was isolated.
Bin trying to chase down here. MNS and a stun, getting fancy with it, but Bin still has Ghost procced. Looks like he's managed to survive that one for now, but Bin just going to use that all to push in the wave.
So overall, BLG walk away with another kill. 2 plates to the good, and Elk should be able to find a good reset here. Fudge now, I think just getting a bit of information. You can see the sort of scuttle crab rather. Jun likely going to grab that for himself though.
He's going to spot out Fudge. He's going to commit Fudge. Recall interrupted. Forced to use the ultimate as well as the flash. That's devastating.
Definitely going to be a pressure sink in mid here. Shun also is able to pick up the Scuttle Crab.
MNS coming down. Shun. They anticipate the clone, but they're not quite able to connect on the Sonic Wave.
Blabber, though, that's a high-value flash. I mean, Wukong, no ulti, no flash now.
Rocket trying to cancel the recall of Berserker on the bottom side, get a bit of tempo there in their favor. Blabber coming up to contest, but Yagao's here first.
Yeah, double support roams are coming.
Sidestep on the charm is clean. Ooh, dodges all the abilities.
So On is here first with the support roams, but Sven is pretty shortly behind.
Oh, Blabber's in trouble now. They don't quite have the follow-up CC the Lantern. As you highlighted, Kobe there, just in time to save him. On flashing to the side, or Hex flashing. No more flashing. Keeping this one going. Herald just going to immediately reset here, though.
Very awkward skirmish. A lot of flashes being used. But remember that Shun doesn't have his ultimate available, which is largely why BLG are hesitant to fight. I believe Bin's ultimate is back up. Oh no, MNS, he doesn't know.
Go. He's shopping! Oh no. Not an opportunity you could do. Flash out to safety. Yagao looking for the follow-up. Is he willing to commit the flash over the wall? MNS will barely make it out. Blabber firing back a little bit there, but even a player named MNS cannot afford to get chopping.
This is a must-win game for Cloud9. You can tell the flash is being blown early. Bin now.
On. Nice Hex flash to sidestep. Fudge needs to get out of this one. Bin does a decent amount of damage at this stage of the game. Sven looking to pitch for the hook. Gwen is now immune. Fudge now taken out of the equation. Kickback coming in, but Fudge, the zombie mode, not going to do a lot.
Oh, you do not want a piece of that Gwen. The Conqueror stacks up so quickly. They chase him down.
Nice trade on the bottom side. Nice setup here. Clean combo to get some damage down, but not going to amount to a lot less.
I think that trying to skirmish when the Gwen is there is just very difficult for C9. We talked about how in these early fights, the Sion just offers so much durability that things like Wukong and Ahri can't really in the early game get through. That does not apply to a Gwen. So going for that early skirmish when Fudge didn't have the flash, BLG were quick to punish C9 once again.
Yeah, I mean, in Cloud9, since they lost MNS, he had to recall. He was back in base. So they didn't have real damage threat. It's a Sion, a Thresh, and a Lee Sin that's already been chunked out. So no big damage threat there to really even put some threat on him. So a pretty easy pickup for BLG. And with those 2 early kills, it's already a Rift Maker on Gwen. That is a very scary first mythic in the entire game to be on the Gwen.
And he already showed in terms of the top lane 1v1 matchup, he knows how to play this matchup, and it's only going to get harder as the game continues.
And for MNS, he's like, hey, when do we swap back? But that's the neat part. We don't. Good luck.
Oh.
It's a tricky subject. Luckily for MNS, at least, Bin is now taking up the mid lane, so he doesn't have to deal with the Fed Gwen. We'll just have to try to outplay in the Ahri versus the LeBlanc matchup. And the gold very close. The Dragon really the only advantage that C9 have in terms of overall scope. But now the Herald as well. See how BLG want to use it, where they want to put those resources.
In this early game, things not looking optimal for Cloud9. Of course, not all doom and gloom just yet. The good news for C9 fans is that Berserker in a great position overall. 2 kills to his name. He's up about 300 gold, so, you know, the single kill advantage that he does have over his lane opposition. And while MNS is a little bit behind relative to Yagao, he's still in a very comfortable spot, so the 2 mid laners ultimately matching one another. just a matter of how well can Cloud9 manage Bin in a side lane.
Yeah, Berserker's really going to get put to the test this game because the entire BLG team is coming for him.
Yep. Everyone wants to dive that back line. You've got Sunder, you've got Riftmaker too, is the big backline dive threat, so we'll see what they want to do. Alistair just punting a minion back to keep a freeze up on the bottom side of the map, it would appear. C9 happen to have their second Drake, Cloud taken off the board, as well as Chemtech, so we're going to have a high-value soul here. But meanwhile, Shun getting aggressive, M&S now trying to dash out to safety, double dash, will be able to get away. Shun burning the ultimate there, M&S responding.
Yeah, M&S trying to make the rotation up towards topside, and Shun catches him because he knows the rest of Cloud9 were picking up Dragon, but Hex Gates allow a quick rotation from Sven to get over here.
And coming up, then potentially isolated here. Can just try to go immune. Throwing back so much damage though, just fishing for the outplay. The knockup is going to be there already in the AoE, but can they finish off the Gwen? She's still sustaining the Riftmaker. The Ignite, not enough. Bin still surviving. Shun just going to retreat. Rocket! Clean sidestep from Fudge.
Riftmaker, Conqueror, healing for Ben.
Blabber, clean kickback, immediate fall from the bellies. He's going to find the snare, switches over to Red Gun and can just go right through him. That's the onslaught. That's the kill. Big game hunting on the bottom side.
Cloud9 swing and miss on the top side, but they hit on the bottom side of the map there. Blabber finds Elk, they get the kill, and Berserker has free plates on bottom side. Red-white guns. If left alone, he can melt through that thing. Teleport used to defend in mid, but Rift Herald will charge nonetheless.
Yeah, BLG quick to fire back. Fudge can just about delete this wave, though, so I think they're only going to get a plate and a half. See where the gold is donated. Blabber on the backside looking to pick off Yagao. Going in once again, he doesn't have the kick, but he might not need it. Yagao sidestepping, burning 2, 3 charges of the ultimate, looking for the reset. Will he find one more? He needs one more charge to get out to safety, and now M&S collapsing, but the flash will take him out.
BLG, they're able to get a few plates in mid and do a lot of damage to that tower, but C9 definitely waking up here in game 3, going for a lot more skirmishing. They have secured themselves 2 dragons, and Berserker is the win condition for Cloud9. 3 kills now, Gale Force completed. He continues to get stronger, and we've seen Aphelios do some serious damage here in MSI.
Oh, just before the timer ticks here, another 3 seconds. Bin knocks off an extra little turret plate as tax. More tax paid into the Gwen, getting some money back for himself due to the rotation from Cloud9 up towards the top half.
8 turret plates to 2. BLG just done a great job, even at what, level 3? I think it was bot lane. They were funneling plates into Elk. They've done a great job of keeping the game state still in their favor with a lot of the gold leads sitting onto Bin. Next dragon spawns in about 2.5 minutes. So right now, these outer towers become the main objective.
That is a painful graph. And the turret plate gold is tax-free gold.
Yeah, MasterCard gold difference telling us the story of Bin. So next fight, you know, Berserker the strong point for C9. It's really going to start to feel as we get closer and closer to Soul, like Bin versus Berserker in these fights, and seeing what C9 can do to stop the Gwen, to stop the Wukong from getting onto that back line. 2 minutes until that dragon, though, does mean they're going to have a bit of time. M&S has to be careful here, but
it's waiting for M&S to use the W, but M&S very cautiously holding off. Once he gets information, that's when he chooses to use the wave foot. Yagao use the Everfrost. We'll take a bit of damage, but I don't think much is going to happen in this matchup. I'll be really honest with you. As I said, both teams ideally want to be playing towards these side towers right now. I think that BLG could commit towards the bot side of the match if they wanted to, so they can start looking to secure the outer tower. Instead, they have their eyes on top.
Fudge taking a lot of damage here. Divine Sunder going to do a lot of work. The ultimate going to be blocked. Blabber now has to come in. He's going to probably use the kick to disengage, or they can try to turn it right back. Decimating Snap flashed away from Yagao, now in trouble. Doesn't have any charges. He gets kicked in the wall. Blabber wants 2. He doesn't even need the Sonic Wave for Yagao. He's fishing for a bit more, but Shun now trading back. Conqueror proc. He will walk away. Creep wave there to body block.
Massive Q from Fudge got both of them to flash out of Shun and locks in Yagao. So Cloud9 with some topside pressure here.
Really nice stopwatch from Fudge in that exchange as well to just buy enough time for Blabber to arrive. Blabber has been involved in every single kill that C9 have been able to find this game. He is incredibly proactive on the map, and he is not allowing the LCS to start this bracket stage without a win. In a much more comfortable state, I should say, than compared to a few moments ago.
People want to meme back to the last MSI for him, but definitely still fishing for a bit of redemption here. Blabber looking for an angle. Finds Shun. Won't follow up here. C9 standing, grouping. And the pressure mounts the later and later we get for some of these fights. Bin off to the side is going to be big, though, waiting in the brush.
There's like 4 free rockets there for Elk onto the Scion, judging damage.
Good news is, it's not a lot right now. Does have the Kraken, but they've opted
Herald is just being conceded here, though. C9 have no information. BLG were just keeping C9 busy. They will now use this window to move into the Dragon, but BLG with the Herald, they can use this mid, they can use this top, they can very easily cross-map this in exchange for another Drake. The concern they need to have is they will put themselves at soul point.
Yeah, it's going to give them guaranteed gold value here. But those Dragons looming.
Ward to the brush, hook landing on the outside, not an ideal target, already burning the ultimate. Fudge not going to connect here. Decent snare rolling and hit Shun from Berserker on the backside. 2 to connect on the clone as well. MNS off to the side. They're just trying to get control of the pit.
The price for this is that MNS came up to join the fight, but Bin kept pushing. So there's an extra minion wave dying to the tower there. Every extra little minion wave that BLG denied. Now they've got the flank with Bin, plus the rest of the team coming down from mid.
To get this Dragon, or it'll all start to fall apart. BLG so far ahead of the trade already. They're kicking Bin back to the fight. Berserker untouched for now on the backside. Bin, will the Hallowed Mist start to fade away? Bin fishing with the ultimate. He manages to take Fudge out of the equation. Bin, the kick back in from Blabber. Blabber back over the wall. The Berserker just has to retreat. BLG bullying their way into the pit. The zombie will fade away, and BLG stopping the Dragon for now, keeping this one going. Meanwhile, Gwen in the mid lane can just continue to push. BLG putting so much pressure onto C9.
Oh my God, BLG are going to get mid tower as well. Smite fight.
Coming in, Berserker forced off to the side. Oh, and it's a beautiful headbutt pull onto the backside. Terrible guns for Berserker in the fight. The shutdown coming in. BLG taking everything.
BLG get kill after kill. They get the Drake, they get the towers, and look at the damage that Bin is doing in mid. 3 will be secured, and just like that, BLG have blown this game open.
MNS running for his life. Bin will let him go, but the damage has been done. BLG first win the fight, then get both objectives and the chase down kills. Massive stuff there.
And it's so hard when you're C9 in that position because you know Soul is your way out, but already when this fight's starting, you're behind in gold, so you have to win this one.
And you're behind in frontline health. Fudge started this fight with like 50% health. Bin comes in on the flank and they kick him over to the rest of the team, but Fudge just gets killed here, so the zombie gets back up and Blabber wants to try and make something happen onto the low health Bin, but it's not quite enough. Then Bin can just go straight mid lane. He did not die. Cloud9 already lost their front line, so they're poking around with very, very little health. He's trying to heal off those minions for Berserker, but him coming back, and then on with the long flank.
It looked like Berserker was also trying to get rid of his guns, try and change the ammo.
Dash to safety
but,
in the ulti.
wasn't quite able to do it. Cloud9 faltering in the fight once more. It's really been the story of this series. The 5v5s, BLG has just outperformed. Elk's positioning continues to be a nightmare for Cloud9 to deal with. And Bin, on a champion that he can truly 1v9 on, is looking to do just that.
And you see hiccups, you see moments of greatness where Cloud9 find windows of opportunity, but you're right, it's in the 2v2s or the 3v3s and the 5v5. BLG as a whole, so disciplined, giving that respect over to Cloud9, over to Berserker, not giving him a window of opportunity to take over in the fights, and now looking to shut him down on the top side of the map. 4 members strong here. Sven gonna hit the hook, might slow the play down for a little bit. On taking a decent chunk out, they're just gonna retreat and concede the tower.
BLG know they have so much pressure in mid. Every time they push that wave all the way to the tier 2, so much space that they can gain in the enemy jungle, and they're quick to rotate up top while the bot tower is secured. No outer towers have dropped for BLG. They're 5 towers to 0.
No,
and the red buff is stolen by Elk. He even hits him with the yawn emote. BLG are feeling nothing but confidence right now.
That hurts. That's the little things, you know, the little things.
Kicking us while we're already down.
You're already down.
I will say it was frustrating that they actually increased the execution damage of the Jinx ultimate.
So it can match smite. You like that? They're like, oh, we love this mechanic. You as a jungler, please stop.
Red buff doesn't have the most maximum health, but still. Honestly, though, I just Bin. Okay, this guy, such a big pickup for BLG. The only returning member of RNG, the previous MSI winners, and now he's just gonna be in a playground. 2-item Gwen so early on versus 1-item Scion. You don't stand a chance. It's even difficult to run away. You have to use your ultimate right there. So Bin is the king of the side lanes. He's also probably the king of the team fights.
Absolutely is. MNS not going to connect on the chain, so the play will fall down on the top side. I think credit to BLG, because coming into playoffs, there weren't the highest expectations, but their level of performance just skyrocketed. ultimately able to make it to the finals. And even as LPL's second seed, they're really showing us why they're not just a team, but a region to be reckoned with. Such immaculate team play across the map.
It did feel like that BLG were finding their footing coming into the plains, right? They realized that they couldn't just rely on their top side to carry every single one of their games. They needed to be better at enabling and playing through bot. And I think you've seen the benefits of their efforts from play-ins, the way that they have so beautifully been able to set up Elk for success in so many games, and then Elk just individually having an incredible tournament. They continue their dominant ways as BLG look for another fight.
Retreat is going to connect the hook onto Alistair, though. Maybe they can force the ultimate out before anything else happens, but Elk becoming a bigger and bigger threat as he gets more items under his belt. They can't afford to commit to that one.
Okay, now it's BLG's turn. Time for you to not 50-50 the Baron. Let's see if they can keep Blabber away. This is a prime opportunity for Blabber.
Looking for an angle for Blabber, but On just trying to deny. They're just going to burn it down before Blabber can get anywhere near the pit. It's clean execution from BLG. It's been the story of the entire series. They will not flip it, but now maybe Cloud9 can take the fight. Knockup going down under the Gwen. They're trying to burn through Ben. Ben doesn't have any health. He doesn't have any mana. He does not have a life left as Blabber continues to push forward onto Yagao. Just looking for the angle. Now the Hexgate through. The Hexgate bringing NA into the team fight. They're ready to fire back, but it is Shun and it is Elk. M&S trying to find the snare. They cannot afford to give Jinx the shutdown fight. Zombie mode. They're going to get one back. They take all the Barons away except for Elks. It's a clean fight for C9, but Blabber's not done. Blabber looking. All of C9 fishing. They need to take all these Barons off if they want to find a bigger advantage. Flash over the wall from Berserker. Berserker looking to turn it. It's 1-for-1, but the Baron denied by C9.
Cloud9, that's absolutely worth it. Yes, they lose the Baron, but they get all 5 members of BLG, including the shutdown there.
BLG invested so much to keep C9 away from the fight that the moment that they then try to commit into the fight, they just don't have the tools. On your front line then disappears. 2 members are stuck in the Baron pit. The Baron was good, but they wanted way too much more, and C9 were quick to punish.
Yeah, the main DPS, Elk there, is just trying to get a couple rockets over the back of the wall, but all the meantime, their front line is dying to all 5 members of Cloud9. C9 did a good job focusing through, kills the front line, then gets through and chases the rest of them. Then here, it gets a little dangerous for Blabber, so he has to jump out of vision because Elk with the extra rockets here, and Berserker flashes for it. It's still worth it to get the big shutdown there. Extra couple hundred gold, but flash expended might be painful.
We keep going back to that one person for reactions. Shout out to you.
Another pick
Great
on Bin.
reactions. Bin taken out. They gave up the Dragon Fort though. BLG on 2. The Soul nowhere near in the future, but excellent to have the pick. What else can they get done with it, however? Looks like Fudge is going to grab the tower.
Yeah, that's a lot considering how far Cloud9 have been down here. The picks onto Bin and even the chunking of the health onto Bin while his backline isn't there is extremely valuable because, again, he's such a huge problem. Damage dealt here, even over the back of that Baron pit, was still all Elk.
Huge props to Blabber for this game. He talks about redemption, and I feel like that he's having an incredible performance. He's been involved in 12 of the team's 13 kills. And while he wasn't given an opportunity to steal away that Baron, he's more than made up for it. Cloud9 basically mitigating the impact of that Baron.
Yeah, now, what Baron? I didn't see no Baron.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see any Baron either, Kobe. The map is basically reset, and now C9 are looking to get themselves a couple more out of towers. They were able to get their first in top lane. Ideally, they want to play for this bot one, but this mid tower is making things so difficult for them to really move into the enemy jungle.
Yeah, and you got a little preview there in the previous team fight, but Elk now, with flash advantage as AD carries, this Jinx definitely warrants a lot of attention. With the expenditure of the flash over the wall there in the last one from Berserker to get the shutdown, it does mean it's going to be a bit more difficult to avoid this BLG engage. And in the previous fight, we had good peeling from Sven and Fudge on the front line, which allowed them to get that health lead.
Certainly did. Fudge now going to need to retreat here. Sven just continues to apply pressure, forcing the ultimate out. Low cooldown at this point in the game, but still have to be careful about that one. And I think it's such a good highlight because as we go later and later, part of the reason I feel like that fight was successful is that, unlike the last fight, as you highlighted, Elk didn't just get to free hit frontline before the fight started. He wasn't immediately a part of it, and I get concerns when you've got a Jinx this late in the game with an RFC if C9 aren't confident, if they can't make up the mistakes in the previous game, if they can't pull the trigger when they need to, this Jinx is going to chip away the health of your frontline, and you're going to come into every fight at a disadvantage.
So, once again, BLG moving to Cloud9's area of the map. A have multiple members on the bot side. Yagao pushed out top, now makes his way mid. The range of Elk is starting to become very problematic for C9.
The good news is he does not have Lord Dominic's yet, though. So while the extra range from RFC feels good, not having Armor Pen is keeping Fudge nice and healthy.
Meanwhile, Berserker trying to lay down the cover fire for his teammate there with the sniper rifle out. Is able to chase him off. Not a lot of damage done. It's going to be a bit calm right now until we have the Baron come up on the map with another minute and 30 left to wait because the lanes are so exposed on the sides here. Cloud9, they can't afford to overextend. A lot more safety is afforded to BLG at this moment, so they're collecting the little things off the map right now.
We're just gearing up. This is the moment between boxing rounds. They're like pouring water in the mouth. You know, they're getting the blood off the face. They're like, get ready, next fight.
These are also the moments where I really like to see some of the best teams will go for little skirmishes and try and use small cooldowns in order to get big cooldowns. If you use an ultimate a couple minutes in advance of an objective and you get a flash, that's a big win. Because your ult will come back up for the objective, but the flash won't. Nobody really taking that risk at the moment, though.
So the problem with C9, well, the problem C9 have right now is they've committed very hard to trying to find this pick on the bin, but he had full information. I'm not entirely sure how he knew, but he was very aware that there was something sneaky going on. And with this window, BLG were like, okay, full topside control. There is nothing that C9 see, and BLG can convert this into a kill, maybe even a tower.
Knocking Fudge back, decent damage thus far, just trying to burn through the health bar. Fudge getting chipped away. I've been on the bottom side. M&S just trying to contest him. They'll hold on to the tower. Fudge giving him his health bar does not matter yet, but it's 23 seconds till the Baron. It might deny them the initial setup on this big objective.
But you just look at all these wards at the top side of the map, just complete control. They have double control wards in the river. All of the sweepers now coming through from C9 to reclaim some of that vision. But BLG can go back to base, restock, replenish, and then start threatening the Baron once more.
Yeah, I think if you pulled that enhance of the minimap up before the play, then you would have had all blue wards there. Cloud9, they take that opportunity as they chase off, they chunk down on and force the recalls. They take that opportunity to have a nice retake of the area behind Baron to at least give them some footing.
Big damage onto Elk, looking for the second chain. M&S has he been caught out. Blabber now trying to finish him off with the stopwatch. He went back, he bought it. The tiny advantage is making the difference. The shutdown comes through. C9 forced to retreat. Rocket, body blocked by Fudge.
Always check the inventories. Always check the inventories. C9 eyes get big when they see the chunk down onto Elk, but Elk knew the entire time. He was not sweating at all. He holds both summoner spells. He's got that fresh, newly minted stopwatch in inventory, presses it. Big, big advantage now. 24 seconds off Blabber.
Fudge just trying to press the advantage, trying to get something back, continuing to fight as Elk is not in for a brief moment, but Elk is returned. Elk is ready to fire back. A lot of cooldowns off the board now.
No jungler, 12 seconds on Blabber. The Baron will be started. Yagao has found himself a flank. Fudge trying to cut it off.
M&S looking for a bit of poke. Fudge off to the side. Yagao already burning the ultimate. C9 continuing a step forward. It's getting lower and lower. M&S trying to burst through this one. It's burning down, but no. He will not hesitate. Shun is going to steal that one away. Now Fudge is going to get taken out. BLG taking the objective. C9 walking away empty-handed.
Cloud9, they saw an opportunity in mid lane. M&S finally finding his way onto Elk, but the damage wasn't enough. Elk responds perfectly, and with the jungler dead, they convert it into a Baron. Can C9 get themselves the dragon? There's not much time remaining.
Rocket helping them secure it a bit faster, but it might cost Blabber his life as the chase continues to come. Alistair going to find the empowered stun. Blabber, nothing to dash into. The kick going to get sidestepped here by Elk because he's just ghosting him down. Jungler surely set to fall here as Elk's going to continue to walk forward, but Blabber very mobile. Oh, here comes Finn. Yeah, there's no way out of this one. Into the alcove he goes. Elk going to grab that kill. BLG, what can they do with this Baron?
Well, they can push pretty heavily on 2 lanes at the very least here for themselves. Bin and Elk actually just going to run down bottom lane while they send Yagao towards mid, I would assume, to get that minion wave corral that M&S is trying to shove out right now.
I mean, the good play from C9 was that Blabber bought some time by clearing out that bot wave, but another one is going to appear in no time at all. As you rightly said, Yagao going to go catch mid. That top wave is not ideal for BLG, but they don't care. They have a wave that they can work with, and now they will continue their siege.
BLG are so rich now. They can just bully their way through. Yes, they did end up losing out on the Dragon number 3 here for Cloud9, but they're going to have such a big advantage in the team fight that they'll be confident in not only fighting the next dragon that will come up and be possible soul for Cloud9, but also getting really early ward coverage here throughout the lead up to that dragon.
And the Red Bull Baron power play 4.2K and growing here as they pick up a few more waves. Massive difference between the two teams, almost 8K gold. Comparable scaling on 80 carries now. It's just so hard for C9 to play this one out.
Yeah, because Ben can just split push forever on this Gwen. He is a massive, to say the least. The rest of the team going to go through mid 4-1. And Shun kind of playing the rotation here through mid, looking in the jungle.
Spotted out. Sven lays down the ward there.
Going for the
pick.
pick.
To the play, just trying to burn through Ben's health bar as quickly as possible. Ben shut down Yagao as he overstayed. C9 happy to just find the pick to slow down the Baron push.
And honestly, that is one of the only plays that you can go for when you're this far behind, is always try and pick off the split pusher. The small window here, that small pocket of Fog of War for Cloud9, they find it, they throw everything at Ben, they take him down again. And BLG, they do not quite close off all of the vision for themselves. They leave an opening, and that buys Cloud9 a sweet extra 30 seconds.
And that's all they, well, I say that's all they need. That's much needed, as the dragon is their next win condition, right? If they can secure this next dragon, that's a soul, and that's a lot more damage that they're going to gain for these upcoming team fights. And just slowing BLG down at all is a big win for C9. The problem now, Fudge may be in some danger. He doesn't have his ult. He's going to try and TP out, I think, but Yagao holds on to the charm.
Charm coming in.
Looking dead to me.
There's too much CC in the area. He can't TP out to safety.
Top laners!
But Thresh is coming.
Down. Maybe a Lantern can get him out. They really don't do that much damage. Fudge slowly but surely Divine's under a prox. Oh, here comes Elf. This is where it gets hard. The knockup to deny the flash out to safety. Clean play from BLG.
Yeah, and they throw 3 wards down on the Lantern as well there, completely cutting that one off. Meanwhile, picture in picture, you can see bottom tower does go down, but now it's BLG with the top laner advantage.
Ben doesn't have TP right now, so it is a 4v4. Blabber was looking for a flank, but once again, spotted out by BLG. M&S being denied any poke, and Elk is free to hit onto the tower.
On going in though, just trying to isolate Berserker from the rest of the team. He does not take damage right now from this front line. M&S already getting chunked through. Elk on a killing spree. That's the reset coming in. And now BLG see their opportunity.
Yeah, they do. BLG 5 versus 2.
Oh, Blabber and Berserker,
John?
the last hope here. Match point, but Ben just continues to step forward, and it's just not interactive. The Gwen is too damn strong. Ben kicked back into the fountain. He goes golden, but surely he'll fall down here. Is it enough to give C9 another shot, another chance at the fight to come? It does not look like it. Elk untouched, but now Fudge is going to delete the wave. Clean play to try to keep their hopes alive here in game 3.
He will lose his life. The minion wave is gone. Fudge will be able to get that cannon, and BLG, I think they're overstaying their welcome. Just take the top tower, BLG. Of course, Yagao has the teleport available, so he's going to go back to base. They want to try and end the game right here, right now.
Trying to deny as much as he can. Blabber killed. GA now coming out. Sven might try to throw the Lantern one more time. The punt back coming through, denying the Lantern, denying the escape. BLG will not give Cloud9 another fight. They will not give Cloud9 another game. It is dominance from the LPL second seed here. BLG clean sweeping Cloud9 to move ahead in the tournament.
Ben called it. The 3-0 for BLG. LPL number 2 seed cruising through the upper bracket.
BLG just plays so many fights so well. I feel like this game became a lot harder for them when they overcommitted to a fight around the Baron, but they did what many Western teams did not do. After that mistake, they slowed the game right down. And while I give credit to Cloud9 for being able to find a pick onto Bin here and there, put pressure on him on a side lane, it really just wasn't enough, as BLG will be victorious in this best of 5.
Credit to Ben trying to walk forward.
I mean, he deserves.
I mean, he does deserve it. He knows. He called his shot. He made it happen. And for BLG as a whole, continuing to look stronger and stronger again. Kind of one of the hopes, I think, for C9 fans was that, hey, they were a little bit shakier in plans. They did drop a game to Golden Guardians. Maybe this is something we could exploit, but it just was not the case today.
And this is so massive for BLG, for a lot of these players. For Shun, for Elk, and for On, this is their first international debut, you know, this whole tournament. Lots of really good performances from them, being able to show up here with BLG.
And for BLG as a whole, I mean, they were not really putting up results whatsoever. They had some moments where they got higher up in the standings, 5th, 6th. They were able to do something in Nest, in the Demacia Cup, but never able to translate that to the LPL until this season, and now bringing it onto the international stage is a fantastic look for this organization, for this team, for these players. And, you know, the fact that Ben is looking like he's in form is a terrifying prospect for any future opponents, especially that opponent is JDG, we might just get the rematch.
I mean, huge credit to BLG in terms of the growth that they've made in such a short amount of time. Like, it's been a very, well, chaotic season for them. The run that they had to make through in playoffs, the fact that they came into MSI with a very different perspective, and Bin, he's got to be happy. He's got to feel confident.
He can do anything. He can give us the fist bump. He can give us the thumbs up. He's giving us the 3-0. This man's hands say so much.
I think it's I think it's exciting to see how far they can make a run into the tournament. As you said, if JDG can get the upper hand over Golden Guardians, remember Golden Guardians so far putting up the biggest test against BLG so far. JDG will have to keep their eyes out on what Golden Guardians can bring to the table, but perhaps they can get the rematch against the finalists who really put them in their place on their very impressive run throughout the LPL playoffs.
Yeah, continuing to look better. Exactly the trajectory you want in a long tournament like this, especially in a double elimination bracket. A lot of time to improve if you can keep your head above water. Cloud9 now, though, the pressure is on. Definitely incredibly difficult once you're down in that loser's bracket. You can see, of course, damage in that game tells us a pretty clear story.
Yeah, the BLG members were having fun in that game for sure, in that series. Straight out of game number 1, calling it, having really strong performances, really clean execution in game 2.
Alk is just good, you know? Like, there's not much more to add. His laning is impressive. It doesn't matter how much you throw at him, he's still able to bounce back in the game. And he's definitely an AD carry to watch. I know all the LPL casters were talking about how excited, sad they were that he couldn't qualify last year to World Championship. But to see him now at the MSI stage, I need LPL to stop producing world-class AD carries, okay? If they could just, you know,
Can you just slow down for a few years,
like, just
please?
give us a chance, you know?
I mean,
how much time do we need to catch up, though?
No comment, but I'm just saying some time would be appreciated. You know? And it's obviously difficult because I think for the West, both for the LEC and the LCS, it's crushing to see how incredible a lot of these LPL and LCK teams are, but like that does not take anything away from them. They are amazing. The way they play fights, the coordination, the early game, and while you can find these windows of opportunity, the windows are getting smaller and smaller, boys, every time we see a best of 5, and that is just credit to those regions for the rate at which they develop talent. It's not just all-star powerhouse orgs. We're seeing new names, new faces so consistently.
Yeah, it's looking to be a civil war in the next stage of each of the competition, with the LCK and LEC fighting off against each other. And we'll see if Golden Guardians can make the upset happen, but it's very much, if things go as expected, it will be JDG versus BLG and Golden Guardians C9, which will be just a rematch of all of the finals that we've seen so far, an opportunity for teams to potentially get some revenge.
Yeah, we talked about redemption. I don't think that people would expect it to come at the hands of the team that they played in the finals, but you're going to take it where you can get it on the international stage. You know, at this point, you're just like, give us those wins.
Woo! The way to look at it, right, is it's like, all right, Westerners, we've got to like, someone has to be sacrificed for the other to level up, okay? Yeah, they're just like, we can only send one forward.
A terrifying prospect, but of course, at the end of the day, it's BLG's day, so let's send it over to Lore, standing by with a victorious on for the Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you so much, guys, and thank you also for joining me. Congrats on taking down C9 3-0. After the first game, Bin backstage did a sign 3-0 like this, thinking that it would be a really one-sided series. Did you also think this way? And what made you think that C9 would not take a single game today?
那首先恭喜你们，今天是非常干净利落，3-0终结比赛。其实呢，在第一局比赛结束之后，我们也有看到斌哥是有做出了3-0的一个手势，所以说你或许当时会不会认为自己也会3-0顺利拿下？就为什么你们能够这么有决定性的不让对手拿走1分呢？
上路说能3-0，那我肯定也觉得能3-0。
So it's basically our top laner told us like we can have a 3-0, so I believe it would be a 3-0.
Believe Bin, always. It's impressive when I look at your playstyle, especially in the LPL. When I look at you, it looks like there's only one way, and this way is forward. Tell me more about your gaming philosophy and why you think as a support, being so aggressive is the way to go.
那其实呢，平时我们看到 On 的打法也是让人非常的震撼的，就感觉你的面前只有一条路，那就是永远勇往直前的往前冲。所以说也想问一下，可能你的一个游戏的哲学，或者说你的游戏的风格是怎么样的？那作为辅助选手，你觉得你这样凶悍的打法是有怎样的意义呢？
我觉得我的游戏打法是有一点进攻了，然后但是我防守也会做得很好。辅助如果很激进的话，让队友的视野的控制 就是在地图的影响力上辅助会很大。
So definitely in terms of my own play style, I agree that I played really aggressively, but also I can do a very good job in all the defense. And also I feels like as a support, if I just played super aggressively, the whole team, we can have a good control on the vision, and it actually can help us to control the map.
Definitely is, and I also think it's why you have such a good connection with Elk, your AD carry. Tell me more about your relationship and why it's such a huge match on the bot lane.
那同时呢，感觉你们下路的配合也是非常非常优秀的，所以说也比较好奇，可能选手是怎么样来评价自己和 Elk 在下路的一个搭配呢？觉得你们打得这么好的原因是什么？
我觉得我们 AD 的打法就是比较装吧，然后就是很容易上嘴脸给对面，只要获取了优势。然后我们两个组成下路的话，就在对线上还有资源的控制率。 都很好玩。
Definitely, Elk has a super aggressive playstyle. He always would like to maybe smash the opponent, and also so the two of us can play quite dominant in the laning phase, and also we can be very helpful in controlling all the neutral objectives.
Definitely going to be a scary version of BLG. Looking forward to the tournament, and it's the first time you step on the international stage. What are you looking to prove personally here at MSI in London?
那其实这也是 ON 选手的第一次国际赛事的舞台，在伦敦，在这次的 MSI 上，想为自己证明些什么呢？
证明我不是一个只会耍帅的辅助。
I want to prove that I'm not the guy that can only show some handsome actions. I can do more.
And it's just the beginning. And you celebrate today with a birthday win.
Happy birthday to you.
Come on, London.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
新年快乐！
祝你生日快乐！
祝你生日快乐！祝你生日快乐！祝你生日快乐！
Congratulations. Thank you so much for the interview, Wendy. Thank you so much for the translation. Shocks, back to you.
Thank you so much. It's becoming a tradition, celebrating the birthdays on stage. Congratulations. Rather, this is awesome. I mean, C9 was just a cherry on the cake, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as LCS representative, C9 really wanted to give something meaningful, a beautiful gift to BLG, and that's what they gave him.
Okay, and then he got a cake. All right, well, it's time for MSI cooldown as we see Bilibili Gaming, who successfully have their first match in the bracket stage. After there were a couple of doubts in the playing stage, how much of those do you feel have been wiped away, Ox?
I definitely feel like they looked better, but I don't think the level was that improved. Like, despite this being a 3-0, it still felt like there was a lot of mistakes from BLG. This wasn't like a clean 3-0, and they had to, you know, do a lot of work in some of these games to get it over the end. A lot of the times they were behind in kills, and I think considering a lot of people view them as the weakest team out of all of the Chinese and Korean teams, I'm a little bit worried for them going into that upper bracket.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're expecting them to go against JDG, who's an absolute beast. I will say, I do think that, you know, Elk performed really well again. You know, you just even look at the damage charts at the end of the game. So whether Berserker was close in gold or not, it was never really close in performance in game. And Bin, I thought, had a really strong series. You know, that was a big step up. But I agree. I mean, even though it was a 3-0, the games individually were competitive, and Cloud9 at times had positions where they could have won had they actually performed better in the fights.
I do like that you call out specifically like the likes of JDG, because I think we get into this trap very often that we think, oh, they were competitive and they made some mistakes, but in my memory, it's always the LEC and the LCS teams that think that, but then they always get run over in the skirmishes or by this late game AD carry. So maybe I'm a negative Nancy, but that's usually how I see it.
Well, I mean, it's always going to be the way you feel as a losing team, right? As a losing team, you'll naturally look at all these moments, these things that you could have done differently, but the reality is they won 3-0 because they were the better team. They performed better in the team fights. They made better movement on the map. To me, those were the two biggest differences, is that they played the map way better. They created gold leads. You know, you talked about, oh, sometimes BLG were down in kills, but often they were ahead in gold because they're playing the map better, because they're getting, you know, more farm and playing out these team fights better. And at the key moments, yeah, C9 won a lot of little skirmishes, but at the key moments, C9 always seemed to kind of fall flat, whether they were, not on the same page or whether they're failing, at the bear intake or engaging when someone's trying to base and things like this. Those key moments often mean so much more than the little skirmishes early on in the game.
Yeah, I just think the thing for me is that going up against JDG again, in those key moments, they won't make the mistakes Cloud9
Hey,
did.
that's not a done deal yet.
If it happens, going up against the likes of
Golden
Gen
Guardians
G,
3-0.
going up against the likes of Gen G, they won't make those mistakes. T1 might, honestly, like the Baron mistake. I could see them doing it, but still.
They haven't done it yet.
They will.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, for Elk also, because we had just some of the Jinx replays from that last game in general, it's really cool to see his development overall, where, as we talked about in Countdown, there have been moments where there was the question, is this going to be his breakthrough? And then heartbreaking losses across the road. I think there is a lot of expectation on his shoulders in the tradition also of LPL ADCs, and that's quite exciting.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like, especially last year, was such a sad one for him because on Ultra Prime, which was honestly a roster people had some decent hopes for, they never even made top 10, right? 17-team region, top 10 is playoffs, both splits didn't make it in there. And it must be so frustrating to be one series away from Worlds and then end up being on this roster that doesn't even make playoffs for the whole year. So it's great to see him come back to see his growth. And it's not just that he's on this roster, he's a defining piece of BLG now.
Absolutely. And another one next to him, our 1+ player of the series, Bin. Are you surprised? It was a bit contentious between Elk and him, and also some members that have the impact that maybe aren't as flashy, but Bin is still a monster, dude.
I mean, he was so good in these games. The Gnar game especially, I thought was all about Bin. These early fights, turning it around when C9 was in some pretty good positions, when C9 had a powerful draft. They just had no answers for him. The Kennen game, I don't think was as dominant by any means, but again, back on the Gwen game, he was such a problem, getting early kills, even in the 1v2, taking down MNS, who had roll swapped up towards that top lane. So Bin, I think, overall, incredible series.
Yeah, and I think the right call was made by Cloud9 to just say, okay, Bin is a problem, let's play like these tank picks top and neutralize him. But that wasn't enough. I feel like he just couldn't keep a check on him, and he was just such a monster in these fights, and in the skirmishes as well, on picks like the Gwen.
It was great to see. Yeah, it's scary. It's always scary. And I think a lot of the things that we outlined about, like, hey, maybe we were not as convinced that Yugao didn't really crush it or what, but it just works within the system of the team, and he's doing the role that he has to do. And I feel like that's the key here for all of BLG, and to see how they were evolved farther into the tournament. Rather.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that BLG does so incredibly well is how well they enable Elk, how they create space for him in team fights, how they make these zones of safety so he's always free hitting, he's always getting damage out. Because as I said, like, you look at the damage graphs in the last game, that Jinx versus the Aphelios on the other side, Berserker is really comfortable on Aphelios. He had a tremendous amount of gold, got a bunch of shutdowns, but is doing what, like a quarter, a third of the damage of his opponent, right? And I think a lot of that is about the player, but a lot of that is also about the team and how they enable him. And BLG are so good at that, and that's why I think their team fights often look so clean and why Elk is so impressive.
And I think in game one, when Berserker was on the Xayah, you kind of saw him able to be self-sufficient, and so he was able to sort of match Elk in that regard. But game 2 and 3, just you look at the damage graph and it's clear he was just playing defensive the whole time. And I think Elk works so well, especially when you have a team with members like Shun, like Bin, like On. These are super aggro players. Even in the LPL, they're viewed as aggro players, so he matches into that so well.
There's people behind us trying to get the Cloud9 sign in. Oh,
we still got some Cloud9 believers.
We do. Of course we do. Why wouldn't we? Because we have a lower bracket and an upper bracket. So let's take a look at it. So we have our matchups that are already set in terms of Mad versus G2 and Gen G versus T1. And now BLG moves on as well and is going to play the winner of JDG or Golden Guardians. It's just tomorrow. I would like to ask my panel, though, now that we had 3 out of the 4 best of 5s already, can you see any common denominator in terms of what's going wrong for the LEC and the LCS comparatively, or is it all different things?
I think it's honestly different things. Like today, it felt like Cloud9 had some good ideas. The drafts were strong. It's just the execution was kind of lacking. I feel like with Mad Lions, game 1 as well, they had a really strong opener, but they kind of just fell apart after that. I feel like its composure is a big thing. The LPL and the LCK teams, even if a mistake happens, they just keep on being a massive menace throughout the game.
I would say the one common denominator is we appear to be worse at League of Legends.
Yeah, okay.
That checks out, yeah.
It appears to be the same across the board.
It does check out. But hey, there is hope yet tomorrow. JDG up versus the Golden Guardians. Now, you know, maybe you wouldn't want to arrive here as an LCS fan or a fan of the West. Let's just group them and say, okay, this is the only one we have left in the upper bracket to win our opening match. is going to be hard, Azale.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I think that without a doubt, if Golden Guardians took down JDG, that would be the biggest BO5 upset of all time internationally, right? I think that you can make arguments for some others in the past. IGTL, this one's bigger than that.
Oh,
I think no shot.
Okay.
That was our #1 seed, and that was a team that had more international expectations. Golden Guardians wasn't even expected to make playoffs in the LCS. They were not expected to come to this tournament. A lot of people, even in predictions, had them not even making it out of play-ins. I think yourself included had them ranked below.
At the 9th, just 9th.
So
just
yeah,
9th.
so
Close,
you didn't expect them to get through, right?
Yeah,
so
fair.
that's the point, is that they weren't even supposed to be here. So if they were to take down JDG, who is the super team of all super teams, I think that is the greatest upset of all time. Do I think they can do it? Probably not. But, you know, they have been a team that has not played with fear, and they have been a team that is doubted every step of the way. And that's something that you have to kind of love and respect about that team, is that they are going to come out here, play their game, and try to play with confidence. And I don't think they're going to hold anything back. We're not going to see a Golden Guardians playing tentative and scared.
And I think a big thing as well is that they've already warmed up in the play-ins, which I think is something that maybe could have hurt Cloud9. But like Huhi in particular has been on an absolute tear. I think.
True, Cloud9 would have won today if they were in play-ins. I like that point. That's a good one, Ox.
Yeah, I think Huhi has just been an absolute tear, playing with such confidence. And honestly, for JDG, I think Missing has been underperforming a bit. So it is a long shot.
What's up,
but
Cap?
Yeah, I mean,
You called
I'm a support player.
You
You know,
called it.
I
There
think
you
it's the
go.
role.
I love it how it's like this one player is kind of maybe underperforming a little, so yeah, the others are the favorites. I mean, you gotta love the copium over here. But it's all we have left, okay? That's all from us here today in London. We'll be back tomorrow at 12:45 London time. Look up whatever that is in your time zone. More coverage of MSI 2023. The games start at 1 p.m. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are they going to be able to follow this one up? Coming out, Keo follow up, Elk. Will he get burned down? First blood, Elk! On the edge, Berserker going to flash in and make it a 1-for-1 trade back, but in the end, the trade going in favor of BLG. Into the waiting arms of Berserker and Sven. They're both trying to retreat rapidly. MNS is just looking to finish up as many kills as he can. The Silas is too damn strong in these early skirmishes. But maybe he can be the difference maker instead. Everyone just looking to get out, but Ben keeps going. Kenan Alcow coming in. Ben going mega, finding one. He uses a Gnar of his own, and just like that, BLG come alive in game 1.
Oh, Berserker, can he get away with his life? No, he cannot.
MNS on the way down, looking for the taunt. Elk gonna flash out to safety just in time. That's the knock up onto the Nami. Can they finish one kill? Berserker gets him.
This is rougher.
Knockback fights on two fronts. Elk! What was he doing there?
I don't know, I have flash, by the way.
BLG looking for an angle in. Shun desperate to steal his one. Shun takes it! Lamb's respite, but it's just a perfect setup for Ben to follow up. Oh, looking for the bubble, but he can't quite find it. That's another carry taken down. It is Elk and BLG just tearing through Cloud9.
It should not be called Lamb's respite because it's just Lambs to the slaughter as BLG will tear apart Cloud9.
Great trade for the top lane. MNS now running. MNS the chains of connect. They're trying to finish it off. Ben snip finds one.
Stil 5 seconds. Dit? Van de bezig. Nice.
Spike fight. Coming in, Berserker forced off to the side. Oh, it's a beautiful headbutt pole onto the backside. Terrible guns for Berserker, and the fight, the shutdown coming in. BLG taking everything. GA now coming out. Sven might try to throw the lantern one more time. The punt back coming through, denying the lantern, denying the escape. BLG will not give Cloud9 another fight. They will not give Cloud9 another game. It is dominance from the LPL second seed here. BLG clean sweeping Cloud9 to move ahead in the tournament.